Hey, what you reading for?
Hey, what's up YouTube? Michael here talking books, literary horror classics, and contemporary. I have put out a few videos about the disturbing books that I read, and viewers of this channel, they fill up the comment section with great feedback and with recommendations of the disturbing books they have read. So for this video, I have selected a few of those recommendations I would like to talk about. A lot of books to get to, so we'll skip the intro sequence, but do not skip the hitting the like button and consider subscribing to the channel. If you haven't already, your support is what keeps this channel going, and it is greatly appreciated. We will kick things off with Urban Gothic by Brian Keene. Urban Gothic by Brian Keene puts off-season to shame. Read if you dare. So Off-Season is the debut novel by Jack Ketchum, which really disturbed me. It is brutal. And I talked about it in one of the videos, and this viewer challenged me to read Brian Keene. I've heard of Brian Keene, but I have never read him. So let's check out Urban Gothic. When the car broke down in a dangerous neighborhood of the inner city, Carrie and her friends thought they would find shelter in the old dark row house. They thought it was abandoned. They thought they would be safe there until morning. They were wrong on all counts. The residents of the row house live in the cellar and rarely come out in the light of day. They are far worse than anything on the streets outside, and they don't like intruders. Before the sun comes up, Carrie and her friends will fight for their very lives, though death is only part of their nightmare. So gorgeous cover. Now, I perused the reviews for this book, and I got the sense that it is gruesome, gory, and I have seen other booktubers talk about this book, notably Cliff over at Cliff's Dark Gems, who didn't love it. And this is being labeled as, among other things, splatterpunk. And splatterpunk, extreme horror, I have nothing against them, but when a book is marketed with those titles, it sends off red flags to me. Like, I think that the writing isn't going to be great, there isn't going to be much in the way of craftsmanship, or I shouldn't say that, much in the way of literary quality. And the reviews I read confirmed that suspicion. So this sounds like a book that would be a challenge for me, a challenge because of how gruesome and gory it is, which is fun. It's fun to be challenged as a reader. But it might not be the kind of book that I could really gravitate towards or really get into, because I really do need some kind of literary quality or inventiveness or attention paid to the craft of writing, and the reviews talk about little to no character development, things like that. So Brian Keene is on my radar. Maybe I'll be in the mood for just some splatterpunk gore, but generally I'm not in the mood for that. I do like gore, but I like it in the context of a book that's saying something, or a book that has literary qualities. So on my radar, but not on my TBR. Next, Audition by Ryu Murakami. So I made a video about another book by Ryu Murakami, Piercing, which was my first experience with his work, and I really liked it. Thought it was fun, thought it was psychologically challenging. And several viewers talked about this book and recommended it to me. Documentary maker Aoyama hasn't dated anyone in the 7 years since the death of his beloved wife, Ryoko. Now, even his teenage son, Shige, has suggested he think about remarrying. So, when his best friend, Yoshikawa, comes up with a plan to hold fake film auditions so that Aoyama can choose a new bride, he decides to go along with the idea. Now, since I posted the video about Ryu Murakami, and since I got all these recommendations for Audition, I did go ahead and read the book. And I liked it. I think of the two, I definitely prefer Piercing. They're quite similar. They're both short reads, spend a lot of time on the build-up that supposedly leads to a gruesome climax. The climax in Audition was short, and not very, and not as gruesome or as extreme as I was expecting. So I did feel underwhelmed, especially since I was comparing it to Piercing. I don't think it holds up, in my opinion, to the comparison. But there is a film adaptation that is quite popular. So after reading the book, I did check out the film, and yeah, I like the film. I think it works better in the film adaptation. The film adaptation has surreal elements to it that the book does not have, and those work quite well. And also in the movie, the timeline has changed. It's mixed up a little bit, and I think that works a lot better as well. I didn't love the movie, but I liked it. I liked it more than the book, and I liked Audition, but I still prefer Piercing. But since I like both of those books, I think I should probably read more from Real Murakami. I've also had viewers recommend In the Miso Soup. So yeah, that's on my radar as well. Next, A Feast of Snakes. I made a video about James Dickey's Deliverance, which was a 5-star read for me. I thought it was amazing. So one viewer commented, another GA, Georgia, the state, another GA writer along the same lines is Harry Crews. His novel Feast of Snakes is worth checking out. Okay, let's check it out. From the acclaimed author of such novels as Blood and Girls and Childhood comes a wildly weird and breathtakingly original visit to the rural South that reveals the exotic subculture that erupts in all its glory at the Rattlesnake Roundup in Mystic, Georgia. No number of adjectives in the thesaurus can do full justice to the dazzlingly bizarre nature of Crews' creations. That is quite a compelling blurb. I like wildly weird and breathtakingly original. Those are two strong selling points for me. And as you can see from the aggregate star rating 4.01, that's quite high for Goodreads. And I perused the reviews and they seem to echo what is in the blurb. Wild, bizarre, and original. So, and it's a short book, 192 pages. Yeah, of course I'm going to read it. And I'm going to read it actually quite soon. Maybe next week. Maybe. So thank you very much for that recommendation. I will be checking out this book shortly. Next, one of the most disturbing books I read was not horror, but probably closer to Lolita. I haven't read Lolita, but it gets referenced often in this novel. It is My Dark Vanessa. It was so incredibly raw. Now, normally I would blur the name of the viewer who commented, but I'm leaving this unblurred because it is Christine over at C. Crits Reads, who is a fellow booktuber and whose channel I like a lot. So this was her recommendation, and I'll leave a link in the description box of for her channel and for Cliff's Dark Gems, who I mentioned earlier as well. So let's take a look at My Dark Vanessa. Exploring the psychological dynamics of the relationship between a precocious yet naive teenage girl and her magnetic and manipulative teacher, a brilliant, all-consuming read that marks the explosive debut of an extraordinary new writer. Okay, so that sounds intense. And Christine compared it to Lolita. Lolita was a tough read for me. I did not enjoy that read, but I was just very impressed by how well it is written. It's quite an extraordinary literary achievement, although it wasn't an enjoyable read. It was a challenging one, and I think My Dark Vanessa might fit in that category as well. In fact, here's an extract from one of the reviews I found. Tragic, dark, repulsive, and infuriating. This book dives deep into the complexities of abusive relationships, grooming, and trauma. There are complicated layers that I think the author does well in putting together. The timely pop culture references to show how pervasive the culture of sexualizing young girls is, the side characters that add to the complexity of fostering that culture, the way the #MeToo movement gets co-opted by journalism and clickbait, how victimhood is encouraged and hailed automatically for women, the way we minimize trauma in order to cope with it, etc. Okay, this sounds intense. This sounds like a book that would be challenging for me, much in the way that Lolita was challenging. But I love what this reviewer says about it. Words like complexity and how pervasive the culture of sexualizing young girls is. That is always a shock to me, and probably a bit concerning as well. And also something that's interesting and worth delving into, taking a deep dive into it, which I get that that is what this book does. So it seems like a challenging read, but probably a worthwhile one as well. On my radar, thank you for the recommendation. If ever I'm feeling brave, I will give it a look. Another viewer comment from my video on James Dickey's Deliverance. Dickey's To the White Sea, 1993, is also very impressive. Its protagonist is a fascinating monster whose bomber plane is shot down above Japan in 1945. The guy survives and starts to walk towards northern Japan with perfect survivalist and killing skills. Okay, I'm intrigued because I was blown away by Deliverance, and I need to read more from James Dickey. And this book has survivalist elements. I love books that feature survivalist elements, like First Blood by David Morrell, fantastic book. And this has survivalist and killing, two things that I like in my fiction. Let's take a look at To the White Sea. Muldrow's journey becomes the flight of a pure predator, moving through the darkness, bombarded by haunting visions that consume his imagination. Every step in his violent odyssey brings him closer to a harrowing climax that is pure James Dickey, and I am sold. It's also not a long book, 275 pages. I need to read more from James Dickey. It sounds like this is the one I need to read next. Do you have any experience with the books or the authors I talked about in this video? I look forward to connecting with you in the comments section. And I love getting recommendations from you. Viewer recommendations make up a large part of what I end up reading. And I have discovered some great books, some great authors, thanks to your recommendations. So keep them coming. And don't forget to hit the like button. Consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. I'm going to close with an appearance by Zvezda, by popular demand. So thank you for watching. I'll see you at the next video.